What's going on, everybody? Chase with IW Hockey here today with Matt, Business Unit Manager of Sticks for CCM Hockey here in Montreal with a super exciting RibCor Trigger 9 Pro line. I'm always itching to get into the tech and spec, but we got to talk about the flex profile and the shooter style that you really built RibCor for first.
Yeah, so as in the recent years, right, RibCor has always been about a low kick point for us. So really targeting that player who's looking for the quickest release, really trying to get the puck on and off his blade as quick as possible to really surprise the goalie.
And then if you had to pick a player, if you wanted to watch at home, see how they shoot and say, that's a RibCor player, who would you pick?
Yeah, I think the easiest pick here is Sidney Crosby, right? You look at how he's shooting and he really has the puck on his blade only for a fraction of a second. He's really just looking for that quick release type of goals. And I mean, it would be the perfect example for a RibCor line.
Well, let's talk about some of the technologies that make RibCor so unique, even in the marketplace, but even compared to the Tax and the Jet Speed line. I want to start with the geometry because I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah.
It's so unique, especially when you compare it to a more traditionally built stick. So in terms of that ergo shaft shape, what does that mean and how does that benefit the player?
So the ergo shaft shape really is kind of two folds in a sense that in the center of your stick, you're going to have that rounded back and flat front to really kind of complement your hand and have something that's extremely comfortable. And then as you transition into the taper, that's where you get the asymmetrical ergo taper, right? So having that concave inside here, really allowing the stick to flex and get that softness closer to the blade so that you can quickly release the puck.
That's really what's driving that super low kick point that requires very little effort to get a quick shot off. And it's just so comfortable in the hands, especially in that middle hand up there. So, you know, Trigger has always been super popular across the board. So I know you didn't want to change too much this year. You wanted to kind of keep that same DNA, but there's definitely some improvements. So what was the inspiration behind the improvements and where do we find them?
Yeah, no, you're right by saying that we have a good recipe right now, right? The feedback from the marketplace been extremely good on our RibCor product. So we wanted to keep the same shooting DNA, but complement it where we could, right? So the idea is here on the shaft, you're looking at optimization from a durability perspective, from a weight, from a balance perspective, and just pushing this to the next level. In the blade, we're keeping the dual field technology, which we've had a lot of good feedback on and good success with, to really get that puck feel closer to the heel without necessarily affecting your shooting on the toe. But we're reinforcing that blade now with helicoid technology that we had on the Tax line in 2023. We're now bringing into our top line RibCor in 2024. So that's gonna give you more pop for a longer period of time while better protecting your blade so that it doesn't crack or you don't have any issues with it.
And that's what I'm so excited about is, you know, CCM always listens to feedback and they just really wanted to attack some durability in terms of the blade without sacrificing that dual field technology feel because that was just so impactful for that 2023. It's always great to see you bring it back into 2024.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the overall construction, we talked about the shaft dimensions, but you know, I'm a gear nerd, so I always like to talk about the Nanolite shield and the Sigmatex STP. So for those players sitting at home, you know, those are some really cool buzzwords. But in terms of the actual playability, what does that do for the player?
So essentially, like you said, right, Sigma STP is our top of the line carbon weave by Sigmatex, just ensuring we can have a stick that's as light and as durable as this, but it really complements the Nanolite shield technology. And the Nanolite shield technology really is about how we layer those carbon fibers inside of the stick and really trying to better protect the stick. So you're looking at very thin layers at the center of the shaft to really have that lightweight, but then having a little bit of a thicker material at the outside on each side of those layer core, and really trying to have something that's gonna be protective enough so that it doesn't break on any kind of slashing, puck impacts, or while you're playing the game.
Now let's start moving into the Trigger 9.
Yep.
And as a transition, I just want to talk about the graphics a little bit too, because you know, if you didn't really know, if there was no name on it, I don't know if I could pick which one was the top of the line model just because they both look so awesome and different, right? So maybe talk about the design inspiration behind the Trigger 9 Pro and how that translates into the Trigger 9.
Absolutely, and the good thing here, we have a left-handed and a right-handed, so you guys can kind of see both sides of the sticks, which are symmetrical from a design perspective. But the idea here is we wanted to keep a touch of that purple, right? We introduced the purple a couple of years ago. We had very good feedback on it, so we wanted to keep that as part of the RibCor DNA, but slightly tone it down a little bit so you have a little bit of a darker stick, which had very good feedback from our testing groups and everyone we've shown the stick, so we're super excited about this. We're adding also a little bit of a splatter all over the stick, really trying to give it a different vibe and a little bit of an edge to it from a graphic perspective. But then if you transition to Trigger 9, you're also still getting full chrome graphics, which is something we didn't do in the past below the first price point. So something a little bit brighter here with the silver versus the dark chrome, but still gonna have you look extremely good on the ice.
And you look good, but you're gonna play good with this Trigger 9 because it's still an elite level model. You know, from top to bottom, you're finding elite level technology. So what are a couple of those that really stand out to you as, you know, the one who put together the stick?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a brand new construction that we're launching this year, right? At that price point, it's a new price point too. The idea here is we really wanted to have kind of that best bang for your buck ratio with that stick. So you're really looking at a full UD shaft here, pure carbon, with a Sigmatex blade. So we're leveraging very good materials that we've had in the past in our top of the line stick now to that second price point item here. We revisited the kick point to make sure that it's as close as possible as the first price point one, so that you have a very similar experience when shooting with the stick, with just something that's a little bit heavier than our top of the line stick.
Yeah, and maybe a little more robust if you are still playing elite level hockey, but want something that's gonna, you know, withstand a lot more battles in the corners.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, as we move into the 96K, I'm still seeing that E-shaped geometry. So I've got to guess, that's got to be one of the more exciting features we're going to find here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to keep this down the line, really providing competitive player with the RibCor DNA here and allowing them to have that low kick experience and getting something good on the ice when they go with that RibCor stick. The rest you're combining with a C6 blade that's going to be quite durable and really allowing you to play for a long period of time with a stick.
And still giving you great puck feel with that exposed carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And then as we move into the 94K, you know, this is for that casual, maybe new to hockey player that loves maybe Sidney Crosby or just that quick shot philosophy. So what are a couple of features that really make this stand out at this price point?
So in this one, it's really all about the internal construction. So we revisited a couple things here and really trying to drive weight down here, even at the entry level price point. So you're looking at below 500 grams for that entry level stick here. Something that feels very light for the price that you're paying, but also extremely well balanced. This is something we've really wanted to look into even in our entry level stick to make sure that when you're picking off the rack, you can be confident that this is the one to pick.
And it just falls right in line with the rest of the
everything
line too.
graphic wise, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Well, Matt, as always, thanks so much for having us out here and walking us through the RibCor line.
Hey, my pleasure.
And for you at home that want to check out the entire line of RibCor sticks, make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.